In conversation with Olusola Sophia Anyanwu. Olusola Sophia Anyanwu studied education in English. She taught English and literature for 20 years in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. She relocated to the UK and continued as an educationist. Sophia is a member of the Association of Christian Writers UK, Society of Authors United Kingdom, TRELLIS Poetry Group, Shine Writers Christian Group, Biblical Fiction Aficionados, UK British Library, Society of Poets UK, and Emmanuel Baptist Church. She can be found on social media. Sophia Anyanwu is a best-selling author and poet who has enjoyed reading and writing since childhood. Her father, the late Chief Augustus Adebayo, who was also a famous published author, introduced her to the world of books. Sophia's stories and poems are largely influenced by her faith. The Lord Jesus is her inspiration. As a multi-genre writer and poet, Sophia can find something for everyone: children's stories, romance, historical fiction, adventure, women's fiction, Christian fiction, assorted poetry, biblical fiction, fantasy, and more. She enjoyed playing board games, admiring the beauty of nature, writing stories, poetry, babysitting her grandchildren. Sophia was born in the UK and now lives with her family there. She believes in writing about every aspect of life. It is her hope that her writing will enrich and bless lives. And on today's episode of Photo Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today Sophia Olusola Anyanwu. Welcome on the show, Sophia.
Hi, Peter. It's nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited, really, to have you on the show today. Quite exciting. We're going to be having a conversation around your beautiful titles. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, my joy as well. So, Sophia, I want to first say that you have such an amazing bio,
Thank
and I'm
you.
impressed by your tons of amazing literature works that you've got published already. And I would like us to start today's conversation with your book titled Their Journey on Earth to Heaven. How does this book come about? What inspired you to write Their Journey?
Their journey, like you can hear from the title,
Yeah.
it refers to two special people. They're my parents, really.
Mm,
So I have borrowed their life history, kind of, and brought it into this story because
mm,
I like the way they related with family, both the nuclear, extended, blended family, and it's all about relationships.
yeah.
So this is what inspired me, the lives of my parents and the way they lived their marriage, and what I learned from it is what is helping me today. The faith, the commitment, the responsibility, just behaving the way people can really be blessed. And
Yeah.
writing this book, what inspired me that, okay, if people read this book, for example, they will really have a very good idea about relationships, how to
Mm,
really have a successful relationship. So
yeah.
that's what really inspired me. Like I said, like you read in my bio, my faith really influences me in my writing. And I just felt people should be blessed reading this book. They will learn about commitment, they will learn about love, respect, all the ingredients that make a very good and successful relationship. Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. I must say that I love hearing you talk about the making of their journey. It sounds to
Yes.
me like a lovely way into becoming an author, and the inspiration
Yes.
behind you writing that book sounds to be quite compelling and quite amazing. And I want to say
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing with us. Before I proceed to my next question, I'd like you to show the book to the camera just so we see what it
Yeah.
looks like. Beautiful
Let's see.
cover you've gotten. And yeah, I remember seeing that cover on Amazon. I was like, wow, this is such amazing. The face of the woman and the man behind. Would you like to talk about the making of the cover, how it came to be?
Yes, thank you. That's very true. Now, the cover represents Alade, the main hero in the book,
Yeah.
and his beautiful wife. Yes.
Ah,
So those are the characters in the book. Alade is now a new man in character and full of love for his young, beautiful, and ambitious wife.
mm,
He strives to gain back the right standing with his wife.
wow.
Yes, her name is
Interesting.
Bridget.
Oh,
He, he is no longer the sly old serpent chasing women with apples and breaking promises.
mm,
How can he achieve changing the wrong notions held about him? How long is he going to take to continue trying to rectify the damage done in his past? And on their wedding night, is he ever going to relent on redeeming his past? On the other hand, is Bridget going to be accommodating? And that's the story
Wow.
of these two couple and how they made a success of their marriage in spite of all the ups and
Sundown.
downs of life.
Mm.
Yes, but then we see how they come through out of temptations. And when there's problem with the family, how do they go about it? How do they bring in their in-laws? How do they incorporate the extended family and their stepchildren? It's a wonderful book. And I've heard
Wow.
people who read the book say, oh, I wish I read this book. My marriage would have been better, you know.
Wow.
So, yes, 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 yes,
That's
yes,
such an amazing feedback you've got so far. And I
yes.
enjoy the fact that you read the synopsis. Sounds to be quite compelling. That's a great synopsis, a catchy one you've got in there. Quite
Thank
catchy.
you.
Yeah. And I would like you to tell us a bit about, some of the themes and subject lines that we'd expect picking up their journey without giving much information away, actually.
Yes, some of the themes and subject lines that people will really, really look forward to when they read this book:
Yeah.
faith,
Great.
love, family, forgiveness,
Mm.
respect,
Wow.
and you know, well, conflict. There's
Complete.
conflict will definitely come about, but how is that resolved?
Mm.
So it's very important that people really have um when they read this book, these themes will come at them, and
Yeah.
they're relatable themes
Oh,
because
wow.
we all have families, we
Yeah.
all have to deal with relationships, we
Mm.
all have to deal with crisis problems coming from issues from families, and how do we have to, what can we do? And how do we relate? How do we, incorporate this into our lives? Because at one point in time, everybody will face marriage.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be in relationship with your
Yeah.
siblings, with friends, anybody. But what are the ingredients? So the themes of faith,
Mm.
family, love, respect are very strong in this
Mm.
book. And
Oh,
when people
wow.
read it, yeah, they realize that, it's worth it reading the book and imbibing these themes, will help
Interesting.
them a lot.
Oh,
Yes,
I
yes,
enjoy you talking about that. And I love your answer to this question. You answer them in a way that is quite compelling, not giving much information away. And why
yes.
saying the themes, love, faith, conflicts and family, a lot of things you
Mm.
mentioned so far, you're saying it in a way that, you're inviting the viewers to come to see and check out the book in a way
Yes,
that wanting them to find out how is this conflict resolved, because we as human all have to go through all of these things. It's something that relates
okay.
with us, irrespective of your background, your heritage, your cultural norms,
That's
your country
true.
of origin, etc. It's something that's
That's
quite
true.
relatable. I love your take on that, really.
Yes, thank you for that. Because the two couples, from two different ethnic groups.
Oh,
Their ages are different. Everything is different about them. So
mm,
people can read this book. There's uniqueness, all sorts of things. It brings out the fact that we are not all the same. People are different with when two people are coming in, they're coming in with, like you said, with loads of different things, different ideas,
mm,
different personalities.
yeah.
So we need to learn from each other and know how we can make the best of what God has given us as a gift.
Oh,
Love is a
wow.
gift, marriage is a gift.
Yeah, love is a gift,
Yes,
marriage
it
is a
is.
gift. I love
That's
that
right.
statement. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Yeah.
You.
Now, I would like us to go into one of your other book and the name of Eliana's Redemption.
That's
You have
correct.
another one in the name of Eliana's Redemption. Could you briefly tell us about the making of that as well?
Hey, Elanas Redemption is the story about the woman, the sinful woman who used her hair to clean our Lord Jesus Christ's feet with her tears.
Oh,
So, as I said, at a point in time, it was formerly called The Captive's Crown. That was
oh,
the former title. And then I had a rethink and I changed the cover to Eliana's Redemption. So, but at a point in time now, I'm going to go back to calling it the captive's crown, because in this story, Elanas Redemption, Elena is not the only prostitute in the story. The story
Wow.
deals with, yes, her colleagues, her business clients, how she relates with them, and how some of them came to talk to her about Christ while she was working as a prostitute. So the book is a book that actually shows inclusion. It
Mm.
shows that Jesus included everybody in society, the outcasts, and everybody that people were looking at. He brought everybody. So in this book, we have people like that. That's why I want to call it the captive's crown. I want to go back to the original title, because at the end, they all wear the crown of glory, and the crown
Wow.
of shame is put down. So
Wow.
that's the story about Elena's redemption. What brought her to that state in a party in front of everybody, crying, using her hair to clean Lord Jesus Christ with in front of everybody. She wasn't shy, she wasn't ashamed. Something must have possessed her, and that is what the whole story is about. How did a prostitute find her way to that to the Lord's feet? That's what it's all about.
Interesting. While you were talking about that, it got remember the biblical story around this particular same
Yeah,
theme about prostitute who used her hair to wipe, Jesus' feet. And the disciples were like, why is she doing that? Stuff like that. That's the first thing that came to mind where you mentioned that. I was like, oh, it got me remembering the biblical story of the woman and her experience
yes,
with Jesus, which is quite
that's
very
right.
fun, really.
Yeah, in fact, the it's taken from if readers read the book,
Yeah.
they will see that that is taken from Luke chapter 7, verse
Oh.
36 to 40. Yes.
Interesting.
So that is why I dedicated the book to her. For the
Oh,
blessed
wow.
memory of the woman in Luke 7, 36 to 40 and 47 to 48 and
Wow.
50 in the New Testament. Jesus anointed by a sinful woman.
Hmm.
Yes.
I love that title.
Yes.
Interesting, really. Jesus anointed by a sinful woman. I love your
Yes.
take on that. And I'm
Thank
imagine
you.
how amazing that would actually be in terms of reading it. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
yes,
so
yes,
much. Thank you.
yes.
And of the books you've written so far, of the
Yes,
trunk load of works you've got so far, I am tempted to ask you, which of them do you consider your favorite? Yeah, and I mean, and have you written your
yeah.
memoir yet? I need that's another thing, yeah. But of the
Yes,
ones you've
yes,
written
yes,
so far, which of them do
yes.
you consider your favorite? And also, have you written your memoir yet?
I'm working on my memoir. It's taken me almost 5 years now. Yes, I
Wow.
started during the COVID in 2020, and I have to go back far into my past and add
Hmm.
things and add things and add things.
I
It's not
love
something
that.
one should rush. Yes,
I love
but
that.
a book I've really enjoyed is The Crown. I didn't bring it here, but The Crown is just about two teachers, how they worked in the school. It was so easy to write. It didn't take me more than a week to write it. It was so interesting. So that's just about what it is like to be a teacher in a school in Nigeria at the
Hmm.
time when flogging was still very much in, you know, challenges, what
You
it was
know,
to teach in those days in Nigeria. Yes. So that one was an interesting one.
I
That one
love
is
I,
the
I love the take of that and the fact that you had to stop and go back into your past to bring out some other information just so we can have a
yes,
full, complete memoir, you know?
that's it. That's it. That's what I
Interesting.
want to do.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
want to do.
And I'm not quite sure if you give us an answer to that regarding the book you consider your most favorite of the ones you've written so far.
Yes, it's called The Crown, and
Okay.
it's a book that it gives me memories because it's
Wow.
a kind of historical fiction.
Oh,
Why it's very interesting because there was a riot in the school.
oh,
I taught
wow.
in Federal Government Girls College, Abuloma in Port Harcourt. So The
Oh,
Crown captures that period in time when young girls planned, well, people were behind it, but the
oh,
point is that
wow.
the principal of the school was captured. And, it's an amazing story.
Wow.
The teacher, the central character in that story, was caught up in the middle of it all. And it's my favorite because most of the events are true.
Wow.
The events are true. In fact, yes. What I did was just to use fake names and all that.
Character's name, yeah.
Characters, exactly.
Hmm.
What's, it's a very interesting story. That's The Crown. So
Wow.
my colleagues at Federal Government Girls College Abuloma, Port Harcourt, if you are watching this video, get that
Wow.
book and you will see the whole story relayed again.
I love that. I love that you have to mention that. That's quite
Yes,
very fun, really. And to know that it's something inspired based on a real life experience, it's something quite fun, really. Thank you for mentioning.
yes,
Thank
yes,
you. And now I
yes,
want us to diversify a bit or digress a little bit, but not entirely, actually. I wanted to ask
yeah,
about your
mhm,
father, Chief Augustus Adebayo. Do you
yeah.
think your father, who is also a famous published author, played any role in terms of influencing your writing career as an author as well? I just thought about that. I made some research about him on Google, and I thought, I think I would love to
Okay.
ask you this question. There's any sort of influence from his own
Ah,
career,
oh,
bringing and spotting forth another author in the family?
ah, yes. My father played a big, massive role.
Wow.
And I should have brought his books here to display them as well.
Oh,
Because this was a man who had a library, had books, and
wow.
ensured that we children also had a library in our rooms. On Saturdays, he would take us to the bookshops to do short sell those books at Ibadan in those days, buy us books, make us read the books to him. Sometimes he reads the books to us. And
Wow.
all my life growing up into adulthood, I would see this man coming down early in the morning to read the books. And he was such, oh my God, he really encouraged
Wow.
us. Because if he didn't buy books for us, if he didn't encourage us to read, he taught us our Psalms, he taught, got us into interesting books. Um, Many, many interesting books. Right now, I wish I'd written them down, thinking about it now. There are many books he made us to read, ancient civilization. I remember
Wow.
the first two books he bought for me, Tiptoes the Mischievous Kitten and Mick the Disobedient Puppy. Giant and John series. This man, he was always buying us books. So all of
Wow.
us, we all loved reading. He did play
Wow.
an important role. And I really loved my dad. Quiet man. And as I wrote a book about him, you can be sure that I really admired him as a man. He was quite a great dad. He did his best.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes,
That's
yes,
quite fun, really, to
yes,
know, because I
yes.
come to think of it, it's a fun thing to groom up a child in a bookish way and also in
Yeah,
other ways, actually. It's something that it's gonna up to, yeah, this is what I grew. And another thing I come to realize about
yeah,
children is the fact that whatever you do or whatever you get exposed to or introduced to as a child tends
yeah.
to stay with you forevermore. Wherever
I agree with
music,
you.
whatever music.
Hmm.
That's why there's this
True.
biblical code that says, train up a child in the way it should
Where you
go.
should
When
go
it grow,
when
you will
it's
not
all
depart from it.
from it.
Whatever
Correct.
music you tend to expose a child to when he or she is young, is the kind of music she tends to stay with for a very long while.
Yeah,
Even when it
very
goes to youth and
correct.
out of like, oh, I listened when I was very young. I love it. It kind of
That's
capture them
true.
at a tender age, at the most infant age, at the most innocent age,
You're
and
very
tends to
correct.
stay with them forevermore. So introducing a book,
That's true.
introducing novels and literature to children at a young age is something that I think it's
Very
very
important.
fun, very
Hmm.
important, really,
Yes,
especially to
yes,
save, especially to save our current youth that are not really interested in literature. I think the best way to capture the upcoming one is to introduce it to them at a very early age, in a
very,
way that it
very
tends to
true.
stay with it. I love hearing about your
It's
story
good.
of your dad and yourself.
Yes. And then I brought my daddy did it for me, and I did it for my own children, and it
Yes, it is.
continues like that.
Yeah, I love
It
that.
continues in a form like that. It's good. It's really good. Yeah,
It's a
it's
fun
good.
one. Thank you. Thank you. And Sophia, one of the most interesting things to me as a writer is to listen to readers' feedback. I may want to argue with me that one of the things that make literature to be complex is the fact that it can be interpreted in different ways by different readers based on their
Mhm.
opinions. And sometimes the readers might get the message intended by the author. Sometimes
That's
they
right.
might be close to getting the message. Sometimes they might
Yes.
be far, several miles or say kilometers away from getting the message. But then, as far, and sometimes they might just hilariously misunderstand the message and interpret the book upside down. As interestingly fun as this sound, I would like to ask you, how do you feel when readers interpret your work slightly different from what you intended? How does that make you feel?
I'm amazed too. Very amazed. You know? because it's an amazing thing. But you see, it all reflects that we are all unique. We
Yeah,
can't all see the world, we can't all see things the same way. So
absolutely.
it's great to see people see my work in different ways. I'm amazed.
Yeah,
Wow, wow,
yeah,
that's what I say, you know. It's
yeah.
even with reviews. Some people will give you five, some four, some three, some one. It's all part of life. And you know, I take it like that. Yeah, I take it like that.
I love your
It's all
take on
amazing to me, I
that.
tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's actually a very fun thing because this is one of the things you get in literature conversation. Say you're in a book club meeting of 10 people
Yes,
gathered together to talk about a book, and the way the first person would interpret it would differ slightly from the way the second person would interpret it, would differ
that's
from the way the third
interesting.
person would interpret it, from the fourth, from the fifth. So we tend to interpret books and literature based on how we can relate it to what is read, the way based on how we can,
Yes,
understand and put the story we've just read to our own experience and interpret it in our own different
it's,
ways. And I think it's actually very
that
fun.
is
It's a
important.
very fun
It is fun.
fun experience listening to readers talk about your book differently. It shows that you do a great job. Did the assignment right.
Yes, even with poetry, because I write poetry
Yeah,
as well. It's very amazing when I read a poem. Sometimes I hold book, you know, readings and so on in the library.
yeah,
And read a poem, somebody gives one interpretation, another person gives another interpretation. It's the way they see it, and it's beautiful for them, and it's amazing, really amazing. And sometimes me, the poet who wrote the poem, I say, my, oh, I didn't even imagine I could see it in that light, you know. So it's really an
yeah.
amazing experience, quite fun. Led.
Absolutely. I remember I was having
Quite
a co-
fun.
Absolutely. I remember I was having a call conversation with an author this morning, and she was like, we're having a conversation around a review on our book. Then she was like, "Yeah, I think novels is even very easy to interpret
Yes.
compared to poetry." She was like, she doesn't read poetry, and interpreting poetry takes a much deeper knowledge or understanding for you to be able to understand what this
Mhm.
poet is talking about because we tend to interpret poetry in a different manner.
Yeah.
So she was like, yeah, interpreting poetry takes a much deeper manner than novels because they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
make some construct and
Yeah.
distinction. And I come to think of it actually, with poetry, it's always a fun thing because you see this person interpret
It's
it
fun.
in a more personal way. That
Yes,
person interpret it quite
exactly.
shallowly. That person interpret
That's
it
right.
related to the experience they've had in the past. It's a very fun
Exactly.
one, really. I love your take on that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
I love
yes,
your take on
yes.
that. And
It's
now,
really
apart from the
interesting.
Absolutely. And apart from the books we've mentioned so far, do you have any other works you would like to share with the viewers are currently working on? Also, what do you find most challenging in your writing career? I think I've got two questions in there already.
Yes. Um, well, there are other books I've written. There are so many of them. There's The
Yeah,
Confession. That's a novella, you know, that's just about, well, it's all faith-based as usual. And it's
yeah,
just about a kind of satire, you know,
mm,
because it's about a lady who is a Catholic. And because she goes to confession to confess her sins to the father,
yeah,
so the father has given her a kind of, it's just a way of, the Reverend Father gives her a kind of penance, go and do this, go and do that. And her
yeah,
spouse, who is also a Catholic, says, oh, how come you're doing this kind of things? Anyways, to cut a very long story short, it's
yeah,
just a very interesting story about how the confession can actually ruin a relationship, can ruin marriage
mm,
between a couple. Yeah, it's a very interesting
mm,
book. And the other one that I have done is We Can't Breathe. That one is for young people, and it stems around Black Africans in America in the 60s,
wow,
how they lived, the challenges they faced, and
mm,
especially if you are female, how could you go to school and live your dreams and all that? So that it will work very well in secondary, year 7, year 8, 9, in
yeah,
let's say ages 9 to 14, actually.
interesting. Young
Yeah, very
teenagers.
interesting. Yes, we can't brace, you know, and you can see that the title resonates with, that
Juvenile.
situation that happened, you know, we can't breathe, you know, it is happening in America. So how do young people, especially blacks who are very intelligent, how can they be themselves? How can they live their dreams? How can they be resilient? That's what that book is about. And the other question you asked me about what challenges I face
Yeah.
as the writer. Everybody's problem is the same in terms of marketing. How to get my books out is one, and number two, how to get reviews is another. And number three, this might be unique to me. Sometimes when I go and watch other poets recite their poetry, I like the way they're able to read their poem without looking at the paper. I can't do
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I wish I
spoken
could.
word. Yeah,
It's spoken word. You
spoken
said
word.
you are a musician at one point in time, so you understand that
Yeah,
I think it's a unique gift.
yeah.
You know, it's a unique gift. I wish I could. So challenges, well, that's about that. That's about that. I love writing, so I don't see it as a challenge. So my problem is that I'm shy. I don't know how to go about and broadcast myself and my books and all that, and how to get the market to come to me. I think that's most writers' challenge.
And I love your take about spoken word poetry because I
Yeah.
think it's a particular genre that I
Hmm.
think and I've had a conversation around this in the past that the
Hmm.
poet, because it's like two different things. We have spoken word poetry, we have the
Yeah.
actual poet that write things in paper in the
Okay.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, do you think it's the same thing or it's slightly different? I was like, well, I
Hmm.
think it's a bit different because I myself I do not know how to recite my words often. I've written quite
You
a lot
see?
that I can
Exactly.
start memorizing it. It's a whole lot
Okay.
to memorize.
I'm
And most of
telling
the
you.
things I write are extremely deep that I cannot start memorizing. But when it comes to reading or
Hmm.
performance, I prefer to hold my phone or hold
Yeah.
my book and put a
Mhm.
mic in my hand
That's right.
and read from my book. Go
That's
the
me.
whole man's way, like I always call it.
That is me. I wish I could do the spoken word as well. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
I just love to just pick up my book and read it from the paper. Excuse me, please. The same way you enjoy the spoken word is the same way you're gonna enjoy me. Just we have different
Ex-
techniques.
Thank you for saying that. I feel good hearing that. Okay, it's different.
Absolutely.
It's different. All
Yeah,
right.
I love your answers to this question so far. It'll be
Mhm.
quite fun and very great. Yeah. And before we
Okay.
wrap up for today, I'd like to ask you, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview and you'd love the
Mm,
viewers to know?
Can I say we've already said a lot about them, that my
Yeah,
book writing is mainly influenced by my faith,
yeah.
and I've written different types of books. So as a multi-genre author,
Mm.
hmm, I'm still trying to decide which would be my favorite genre, but for the meantime, I like my readers to know that there's poetry, there's
Yeah.
crime, there's biblical fiction, there are books for children, and they can be found on Amazon, Apple,
Wow.
Waterstones, on my website, just anywhere, on Goodreads.
Yeah.
And very soon, I hope to open a shop at TikTok, whatever it
That'll be
is called,
very
TikTok.
great. That'll be
Yes,
very
I'm trying
great
to do
treat.
that.
Yeah, that'll be
Yes,
exciting. I look forward
yes,
to that. Thank you so much
yeah.
for sharing. And as a published author, I'd also like to ask you, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book and writing a book? And where exactly can interested viewers, I mean, if you have people watching this video, this interview, I would love to get a copy of your book. On what platform are they available on for purchase?
For those who are struggling to write, the first advice that I would say, the first thing I'm going to say is that every writer should have a source of inspiration.
Hmm.
For me, my faith is, like I
Wow.
said, God is my inspiration. For
Mhm.
those who are not faith-based,
Yeah.
they should look around them, look at nature,
Hmm.
and look for a source of inspiration. By the time you just start writing a word on something that gives you inspiration, the words will come. So
Going.
that is one great thing, having a source of inspiration. Number two, have confidence in yourself. First of all, start by saying, I'm writing for myself. Don't think of your audience yet. Just write for yourself. So when you do that, that can give you the courage and the confidence, and you can inspire yourself with just write. Just you're writing for yourself, just write. So that's it, just write.
Oh
That's
wow,
what I would say.
I love your take on that. I love the fact that you have to mention, have confidence in yourself and look for a
Yes,
source of inspiration. I like the fact that you have to
that's
mention
right.
that your inspiration comes from God. They are faith-based. Some other people's inspiration could
Yes,
come from their own personal life experiences. Other people's source of
that's right.
inspiration could come from what they've seen around them, the trauma they've seen around them, the experiences of
Yeah,
friends, the pains of family members or relatives that is close to them. Some other people, the
yeah.
expressions could come from what they've seen in the society. Hilarious time
Very
because some people
true.
would tell me that I get inspiration hilariously from my dreams, from the dreams that I have when I go to bed to sleep at night.
That's right.
I'm like, that's
That's right.
very
That's
interesting. That's
right.
a very fun way to get inspiration. So I love the fact that you had to
Mm-hmm.
mention, look for a source of inspiration. When you find it and when you begin to put your pen to paper
Yes,
and you write one line, you'll
it will
be
come.
surprised at how the other inspiration will just keep flowing. And from one, you've got to two, three lines, one
Yes,
page, two page, three page. Before you
it's
know what is
it's
happening,
amazing.
you're
I tell you,
closing a book already. I love your take
that
on
is
that.
true.
I love your
A
take on
word,
that.
it's because we writers, from one word to thousands of
Yeah,
words, it's all God.
absolutely.
God is my inspiration.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes people sit down, read the book after it has been published many years to come up like, really, did I really wrote that? Did I really
True.
wrote that? That was quite amazing. Wow. Really? You know, reflecting back on it, be like, I don't know I wrote this. I can't tell where when it's not like this. That's an
That
amazing book.
happens.
It happens,
That
yeah.
happens, yes.
It happens. And just in case we have some
Yes.
people watching the interview, we'd love to get a copy. What platform are they available on for purchase?
I have so many platforms. I have the Association of Christian Writers UK. I have Federal Government Girls College, Abuloma, Port Harcourt platform, University of Ife Nigeria platform, Emmanuel Baptist Church platform, Twitter, Facebook, um, social media,
Yeah.
um, all the
Amazon as
platforms.
well.
Amazon, of
Yeah.
course, of course,
Interesting.
of course,
Yeah.
Amazon,
And I left a
my
link.
website.
Absolutely. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Olusola Sophia's books directly on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles on our website and also on other platform. I also left link to our social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Sophia, for accepting the invitation to be featured on the English literature. I must say this conversation has been
Thank
very
you.
exciting, very animated, quite great. And I enjoyed all your
Thank
answers to these
you.
questions and what you've
Thank
discussed
you
so
so much.
far. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
my pleasure as
Okay,
well.
bye.